in Tennessee, there is a nursing home. I couldn't wait to tell you about this. They have started a pen pal service for their residents. So it's Brookdale Hickson, and they decided because their residents are so lonely that they were going to jump right in and figure this thing out. So they started a pen pal program within the community. And the director said, we really only expected maybe 4 or 5 letters.
Mhm.
So far, they've gotten somewhere around 450 letters in 2 weeks. So the community is rallying, and some of the residents of that nursing home, his name is Gordon, and he said, I look forward to hearing a knock on my door every day because I know somebody's got some mail and I can just lose myself in that letter for a little while.
And we're talking old-fashioned pen pal stuff where you actually write something, stick it in the mail, and send it to them. That is a brilliant idea because they're not sitting in front of their computers looking at the internet all day long.
That's exactly right. Snail mail at its finest. And that's what these people grew up with, and they're used to it. And I'm sure it brightens your day when you get a birthday card or a letter from somebody,
It
right?
does. I mean, when Christmas rolls around, I get like maybe 3 or 4 cards, and that's it because everything seems to be done online now.
Yeah, even Taylor's wedding invitations were online. And some of the older folks that were gonna, like grandmas and grandpas, they were like,
Mhm.
is she not sending out a paper invitation? It's not the way they do it anymore, I guess.
If you're new to the family, Taylor is Liz's daughter who just got married in the middle of COVID-19.
Yep.
Yeah, very intimate, totally different the way that was supposed to be, but it was a good wedding.
It was a beautiful wedding.
Even had a
Kind people.
creeper watching over the bushes in her backyard.
Yeah, she made number 10. She was behind like where we have our oil in in the yard.
His morning crew.
Okay, if you're into Christmas during this whole COVID-19 thing, you have to watch the Hallmark Channel. No, it's not really on the Hallmark Channel, but they're doing their whole streaming service, the Hallmark Now,
Yeah.
for free. So you can sign up at hmnow.com and you'll get the app and you'll be able to watch it on your app or on their website. All digital. And when you want to watch it, not when they're putting it on the TV.
I'm so excited by this. I want to see and I know guys make fun of us sometimes because the Hallmark Channel characters are always named Noel and
Yeah.
Holly
Mhm.
and Tinsel. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. And I think you had said it earlier that the storyline is generally the same.
It is the same. Come on. It's
It doesn't
always the
matter.
same.
But it doesn't matter. They're always baking cookies and singing songs, and I love it.
She's all into Christmas no matter what time of year. And you know what? I kind of get it with COVID-19. You got to get your mind off this stuff. We're socially distanced and stuck at home anyway. So why not? If you like Christmas, well, there you go.
What better way to do it?
Yeah, right?
His morning crew.
Random acts of kindness. Thought we'd just kind of take a look at that right now through COVID-19. Still, people are helping out people. You see that in our care community, which is our Facebook group at His Radio. 4,600 people now saying we want to help each other out. Here's one I saw from Bob. Now, Bob's been married to his wife for about 67 years. Their anniversary just happened. He's like, what can I do? She's at the nursing home. I can't be there. So up at the window at his Connecticut nursing home, he's holding up a sign, loved you for 67 years and still do. Happy anniversary. That brought some joy. And they just said, you know what? We're helping each other out, which is so good at the nursing home. We're going to let you do this. Let's get you to the window.
Yeah, we got to keep that love alive 63 years in. So there's a Googler. I don't know if you are a part of Nextdoor. It's that social media page for your neighborhood. So there's a guy who lives in a neighborhood. He's a Googler, I guess is what they call them. But he said he sent out the message on Nextdoor and he said, if any of my neighbors need any help at all setting up those food delivery, grocery delivery apps, he said, I will be glad to get you on the phone or maybe FaceTime and walk you through it. And he said, and if that doesn't work, if you can't do that, it's okay. Call me. I'll go get your groceries.
See, look at that. Because some people are technically challenged, like, how do I do this thing? I get in that stuck in that mode sometimes.
Yeah.
I saw this great post. And here's the post. It just simply said, from my neighbor, my faith in humanity is restored. Hashtag stop hoarding TP because a bunch of toilet paper was at their front porch.
Oh, Oh, that is so nice. There's another one where a neighbor, I guess they live in like an apartment complex or whatnot. So there's a stoop out in front, and they went and bought a bunch of vitamins, supplements, Ensure, that kind of thing, and just put them out on the stoop, free for the taking for anybody.
I saw one more too, and I'll just read it to you. It's very short. 5 minutes ago, our neighbor knocked on our door, gave us a bag, and it was full of essential hygiene materials because there's a lack in stores. He's giving this to all of our neighbors. He restored my belief in humanity in a whole new level. And sometimes it just comes out when we're like in a disaster like we are with COVID-19.
Exactly. I think sometimes, we think people, they can drive me up a wall sometimes. But in something like this, you see our true colors really come to the top.
If you've experienced that, leave us an open mic on the Buy His Radio app or give us a text or call 800-447-7234.
His morning crew.
Food banks. This time during COVID-19, there's even more people going and looking for food. Some have been furloughed. They just can't find certain pantry items that they need. And so they are going to these food banks. There was in Alabama, I think they had somewhere around 100,000 people in Alabama had applied for unemployment. And of course, the demand is over and beyond. They're kind of overwhelmed by it. So they're asking for help. Even in this area, because I did a post on Facebook, I'm like, what are the food banks like in our area? And Deborah was on the care community, and she said Helping Hands that in Woodruff, South Carolina, they need some donations. Anderson Interfaith Ministries, that's also in South Carolina, they need some donations as well.
Yeah, I can tell you the rescue mission in Raleigh-Durham is in the same place. Secondhand Harvest Food Bank as well. It is a need, a big need. So those who can, if you can do that, go ahead and just donate, some food to these food banks and shelters, because people are relying on that. I'm grateful for the school systems too that are helping to feed these kids. I saw one school system that literally is driving buses through the bus route and dropping off the food that way. That's in one school district. Not every school district is doing that, but some are. And I'm so grateful they're going ahead and just moving forward like that, because some can and some can't, if you know.
Yeah. And we've been getting those texts from the schools, and, my boys are like, oh, why are we getting this, this text from the school? And I said, well, that's if, your parents aren't there to prepare you lunch or whatever. You can walk to the school or you can do whatever and pick up your lunch. It's a great program.
It certainly is. And again, if you know anybody who has the means to go ahead and donate that food, please do, because people are relying on those food banks and church pantries right now.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
How about the Easter weekend and some of the things you were doing to entertain yourselves?
I know. And we're going into week 4 of this social distancing, really. And so if you're anything like me, for sure, I've been trying to do anything I can to keep these kids entertained. So we have lots of board games and card games, but I will tell you, I learned a new card game called Phase 10.
Oh,
and yeah, I mean, it's similar, maybe in the same family as an Uno or a Skip-Bo or something like that. I won over the weekend, all 10 phases. I couldn't believe it.
I'm guessing you're rubbing it in.
A little bit. Hello, boys.
His mom, and she's the champion.
Right?
We pulled out Monopoly. Didn't really get too far in that because that's such a long game. The 11-year-old doesn't have that kind of time. So here's one thing. My wife is doing a puzzle. We're spending a lot of time out in the backyard and doing those kind of things. And of course, we have a 3-bay garage, and so there's a lot of workout that's happening, trying to keep ourselves active through all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's really difficult to do, but we bought Spike Ball. Now, I have not played it. The boys seem to love it, but it's like a net. It almost looked like a trampoline when they set it up, but it's more of a net. And then they take a barely inflated ball that comes with it, and they spike it down. I don't know how it works, but they're having fun, and that's all.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
So grateful you're along with us. We got a special guest that's joining us on Zoom right now.
I am so excited. So this is a friend of mine that I met a couple years ago in Romania. My daughter was on a year-long mission trip called the World Race, and Emma was in Romania, and she was helping us with a women's prison ministry in that area. But I posted, and I wanted to know what kind of board games that we're playing. And in Romania, they are also social distancing. Emma, what are y'all playing there at your house?
Yes, we are in social distancing because Romania is also in emergency state. So we cannot go out unless we have a paper to declare where we are going, the itinerary and the hour, and if it's a food shopping or medical emergency or yeah. So we cannot actually go out. But praise God, we have some games at home that we play with the kids. We have two kids, 6 and 8, and yeah, they like to play Settlers of Catan, Ligretto. That's a fun interactive speed game. It's
Okay.
like Dutch Blitz, maybe you know it as a Dutch Blitz. Carcassonne. We play Great Dalmuti. I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard about it. It's a really fun card games. Monopoly cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of board games. But also it was my son's birthday like 2 days ago, and because we didn't had any guest over, we said let's make it more interactive and more fun for him. So we made different clues all over the house in the courtyard for him to find presents, small presents, a small present here, a small present there. But to get to the present, he had to follow some instructions, and he said it was the best birthday party so far.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
So you had a scavenger hunt.
yeah.
Yes.
You're hearing Emma right now. We're literally zoomed halfway across the world to Romania. Hello. What time of the day is it in Romania right now?
It's 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, see, it's 7:30 in America right now on the eastern coast where all these storms have been moving through. How many weeks, Emma, have you been in social distancing right now in Romania?
Well, it's more than 1 month,
Yeah,
actually.
we're just about a month into it here.
Yeah. It started somewhere in 10th of March, I think. Yeah.
How are the kids taking it? They're 6 and 8. Are they getting extremely bored? Are they acting out a little bit? I know the teenagers are a little bit.
They're pretty good, actually. My son, he says he wants to go to school, actually.
Of
Well,
course.
now that they are home, they want to go to school. And when they go to
Yeah,
school,
right.
home. But they are pretty good. They even set up a tent in the courtyard, so they have their own house in the courtyard. That's another good idea that was very good. For a few hours, we didn't hurt anything. They were just playing in the tent.
They wanted their own space and they made it into a tent. I love that.
His morning crew.
What did you do over the Easter weekend?
I'll tell you what I did. My daughter, she's 28, still wants an Easter basket. And so I put together one for Taylor and her new husband, Augie. But I also made them like Easter lunch because they had to stay at their apartment. So I made the mac and cheese casserole and all the good stuff. At our house, we watched, of course, we're involved in Sunday school through Zoom. And then we watched our live worship yesterday morning all together as a family.
That's good. Yeah, we did the same thing yesterday. We watched two services. So we went to
Cool.
our church and went to another church in our house because of streaming. So the day before, my middle son, Spencer, was leading worship at a church that's like in an inner city part of town. And they thought, okay, it's going to rain on Sunday, and they don't have the ability to stream. And they have not been able to connect with each other outside of like their Sunday schools in Zoom and small groups, but not a corporate worship. So they decided Saturday, 10:30 in the morning, they did worship drive-in style. And so my son and the young lady at the church led the service with worship. And then Pastor Lenny came out and gave the Easter message. It was just so nice. People in the neighborhood were sitting on their lawns because they're that close to the church, watching the service and worshiping along with everybody.
Wow. And how proud are you as a daddy that he was leading that service?
Let me tell you, I was front and center,
Yeah.
taking pictures and everything from the third line back of cars, not actually front and center, but you know what I mean. And then my son, Spencer, cut the 11-year-old's hair on Saturday.
Are you going to let him cut yours?
He looked at me and then he said, "How is that thing cut anyway?" And I said, "Well, I just let it grow more."
Can he do roots? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, you want him to do your hair?
I may want him to.
You are much braver than I am.
Mornings with Rob and Liz.
How in the world do you navigate through all this coronavirus and COVID-19 and social distancing? And some people are even calling it isolation. Stephanie Baker's along with us from Life in Abundance. It's a counseling center. Stephanie, let's walk through some of this and how people can find some kind of comfort through it all. One of the things that you point out is to expect or accept uncertainty.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because this is just in history one of the most uncertain times that I've ever lived through in my lifetime. People are not sure what's going to happen, some of them with their jobs, so they're concerned about that. Parents are concerned about whether or not their kids are going to end up going back to school this year. And so there are a lot of things that come with that. But one of the things that I would say is that it's important for us to understand that when there's a situation that we don't have control over, our inability to understand and accept it doesn't change the fact that the situation is what it is. So we can either be miserable or we can choose to focus on what we can do in that situation, what our choices can be. It helps us feel a little bit more secure when we feel like we have some choices, and it's not just forced on us. So what we do during our day is pretty important.
So what about the grief that we're going through? Grief doesn't just come with the loss of a loved one. It can come from the loss of a job or that daily routine. So how do we navigate through that?
Well, one of the things I think that we can do is to, instead of also saying we're just going to cancel everything, let's talk about the word postpone. Cancel sounds finite. Postpone sounds like, okay, we will be able to do these things. It will happen, just not right at this time that we expected. So for even families where they had seniors that are, or have seniors that are thinking about graduation or prom has been missed, those types of things, there's a way to look at that and then maybe do some things after social distancing is lifted so that you can celebrate those things. It doesn't mean we're never going to celebrate them, and then acknowledging the loss, because milestones are losses. And like you said, Liz, losing a job or even being fearful that you're going to be laid off is pretty important to acknowledge. And everybody grieves differently. So somebody in your house may be showing it through irritability. Somebody else might be showing it through tears, and just giving each other some grace during this time.
Yeah, Liz had to walk through having to rearrange a wedding. Her daughter got married in the middle of all this and all that. I mean, that had to be some grief.
Yeah,
It really
absolutely.
was for both of us. She had this idea of what this wedding was going to be. And of course, that changed 180 degrees, but I'm telling you, it was beautiful.
That's great. That's great. What a nice story to hear.
Stephanie
So,
Baker's along with us from Life in Abundance, and we're talking about, she's a counselor, talking about how to get through this whole COVID-19 thing. She talked about expecting uncertainty and grief. What about structure?
So the temptation to hang around all day in your PJs might be pretty great. That was actually probably wearing off right about now, though.
Yeah, right.
Right. Showers are a good thing. So we want to keep doing that, personal hygiene. But routine, your brain is rule based. And so in order for you to feel better and healthier, you want to try to maintain as much of a daily routine as you possibly can. If you have little ones or even teenagers at home, you want to try to keep that routine. So if you're doing homeschooling, you want to try to have a start and a stop time that's consistent, just about every day that you're doing those things. A consistent wake up time, a consistent go to sleep time. Those types of things help you feel like you're more in a structured environment. And here's the thing. You can always create a different routine, a new routine. I just talked with a client of mine who's a college-aged young woman, and she's home, as many of them, are now, trying to finish the semester. And we talked about her putting together a schedule. She doesn't necessarily have the same deadlines as she did when she was on campus, but we sat down and she put together a schedule to keep her on track, because working from home is not for everybody, and being a student, you need to have a little bit of discipline to be able to do those things. So we talked about making a new normal, a new routine, but keeping a routine is really, really important. And also, like I said, waking up time, going to bed time, and making sure that you're doing your daily stuff, like brushing your teeth, and getting dressed. It's probably not a good idea for the kids to stay in their PJs either all day. So
yeah, and that's a good tip for both of us, not just for the kids, but we
Right.
need to stay in that structured schedule as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing I'm doing different is not wearing shoes. Everything else still
Me
going.
either.
I think we can afford you that freedom, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Hey, we've
it's
got about
good.
30 seconds left, but how's your family doing, Stephanie, through all this?
We're doing great, and I thank you so much for asking. I have an elderly stepfather who is at home. My mother is his caregiver, and so we are really concerned about making sure that they stay safe. And they've been doing great. And my husband and I, this is a new normal for us. I've been joking with him, telling him it's our pre-run for retirement. So,
It's a good way to look at it.
yeah, the first couple of days, we had to iron some things out, but it's
Sure.
great. We make appointments to have lunch with each other in the kitchen. So he works upstairs, I work downstairs.
Oh, good for you.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
I tell you, a lot of people are praying right now. Over 100,000 people and growing without power because of these storms that have been moving through. Already through Columbia and Charlotte, Raleigh-Durham's been getting a brunt of the storm as well. In the early morning hours, it was the upstate and western North Carolina. There are some lives that were lost because of this, and we are so praying for those families. Tornadoes were just outside of Clemson University, right?
Right. And Jordan, she had texted in and said she was on her way to the doctor's office and texted us earlier this morning and said she passed a wreck. It wasn't so bad. But between that time and actually getting to the doctor's office, she passed 4 more wrecks.
Wow, to be out in the middle of all that too. And so right now, big prayer for the coast because we're seeing it in Savannah, Charleston, and Myrtle Beach. And let me tell you, it moves so fast, but once it's over, the sun comes out and it's like it hasn't happened, but yet 100,000 people picking up the pieces. And already the food banks are like really running low of stuff and helping families because of COVID-19. Now it's like disaster relief time after these storms have been moving through.
That's right. I mean, we're already dealing with people that have been furloughed and, don't have as much money in the bank account, maybe for the first time. Families are going to those food banks. And so with this, we don't know what the extra is going to be, but we need to make sure that those food banks are prepared. So I don't know about you, but I've been organizing a lot of things, maybe do the pantry and get some extra groceries or pick some up, extra while you're at the store.
Yeah, I do know this. I mean, when you start looking through the areas, a lot of down powered lines and trees and all that other stuff. I'm grateful that we've in this thing together because God, we are stronger together and that we're praying for each other through this whole thing.